It's time for another edition of Out and About with Jamie Grout, and this time around we'll be talking about Prairie Burn, which has become quite an event in Grinnell, and it's coming up this weekend. Now, we recorded this on Wednesday, and Wednesday was the last day for advance registration, but you can register on Saturday at Central Park in Grinnell to get involved with either the run or the bike ride. The weather is supposed to be decent for that. There's all kinds of events going on, and we'll touch on that in just a moment. But first, we want to plug our sponsors for Out and About with Jamie Grout, and specifically for this big Grinnell event. And that includes Grinnell State Bank. And I want to salute my buddy Austin Jones, who's president of Grinnell State Bank, who was involved in the Ironman competition in Des Moines last weekend. He's been in the Ironman competitions for a number of years and always does a great job at that. Grinnell State Bank has 4 convenient locations in Grinnell, Johnston, Marengo, and Polk City. So check out those convenient locations and all the services they offer, including convenient online and mobile banking. Check out all of their options that make banking fit into your life at Grinnell State Bank. B. Nicole Salon in downtown Grinnell, with adult haircuts, children haircuts, and senior haircuts, and people rave about their great prices they have at B. Nicole Salon in downtown Grinnell. And also Who's Leading Who? They're your one-stop dog shop, and they build and prepare dogs to be their best selves. Group obedience classes, private sessions, and whatnot. They have dog boarding and dog grooming services available there too, doggy daycare. So check them out at Who's Leading Who in Grinnell. It's time for another Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, and this time we're talking about Prairie Burn, which is an interesting name for something that happens every year in Grinnell, and I found out about it when I was working at the radio station in Newton, and it was nice of Alicia Blankenfeld to turn over her time with Total Choice Shipping and Printing to someone being a spokesperson for Prairie Burn earlier, and I found out a little bit earlier, and it's quite an event. It's become, I think, bigger and better over the years in Grinnell, and with me is Tim Ellsworth, who is an organizer for Prairie Burn, and I talked to the lady I call Little Red, my sweetie, before I took off, Tim, and she's wondering where the name Prairie Burn came from. And I said, well, maybe it's because they ride their bikes on gravel and you burn your knee when you fall down on the gravel. And she said, well, a prairie burn is when they burn the prairie to try to make it healthy and whatnot. So maybe you can give us a little bit of the history of Prairie Burn, Tim.
So I started it with a few other people 5-6 years ago, and we wanted to have a town-wide gravel race. And it's more of a ride than a race. It's got a component where we revolve in loops around Central Park, and at the time Central Park was just finished renovation. And Prairie Burn, often we see those burns, where they're burning off the noxious weeds and getting rid of that. Right. And there's a bit of burning when you go up hills, your legs burn. Oh yeah. So there's a tie-in to that, but it sounded good, and we kicked it around and it just seemed to stick. Okay, all right. Yeah. So how has it evolved over the years? Because I know you have more events than what you started out with. Yes, in first year we started out wanting to do a bit of a music festival and have a Friday, Saturday kind of format, and the music part of it was just very expensive, and we didn't, and we had a couple of bands. It was okay, but wasn't really attended super well. I think we had 75 or so riders, which is fine for an event. The next year was COVID, so we got shut down, a month before we, we're going to get going on it. And so year after that was kind of socially distanced and a little weird. The next year came back. We planned it in Central Park with some yoga in the park. We've got some art things for some kids. We've got a band, a DJ, some food trucks, and the biggest thing is trying to get community made, bringing people downtown. And so it's grown a little bit in participants as far as more and more bike riders. And then 2 years ago, we added a 5K fun run. And that's about as popular or more popular than the bike ride. And so currently right now we're up to about 250 registrants, and we'll probably hit 300, I imagine, before the weekend's out. This has really become quite an event for Grinnell, hasn't it? Yes. It really is.
I'm looking around his kitchen, and I'm inside his house, and I appreciate Tim for inviting me into his humble abode. There are like 3 bicycles in here. You are quite the bicycle enthusiast, I can tell. Oh, maybe 4. Yeah, there's one right above me, and I didn't even see that here.
I got rid of 2 or 3 before you came in. Just do a little more room. We have gravel bikes. We have ragbri road bikes. We've got fat tire bikes. We've got mountain bikes with suspension. And then we have the kids' bikes.
Well, maybe you can describe the difference.
You bet.
Since we're doing audio, maybe we can, on the video, we can show them later on, but you can tell me the difference between the kinds of bikes.
So starting with the gravel bike, they're pretty similar to a mountain bike without a squishy fork. So they have a little bit wider tires. They run about two inches or so wide. It makes a nice, comfortable ride on the varying gravel surfaces that we ride on. Going a little bit bigger and adding suspension, you can just ride on much more rough surfaces, like through the woods, single track through the woods, which we're also involved in. This is a traditional road bike with skinny tires, and that's the kind of bike we ride on ragbri once a year. And then there's the fat tire bikes. You've probably seen those buzzing around.
Yeah.
We started about 3 years ago. I got fat tire bikes so we could ride in the winter. I don't like riding one of those trainers, and so the fat tire bikes can come with studded tires. So I got one with studded tires. I rode all the way through the winter, found out that riding an hour or 2, even in 6-8 degrees, is not a big deal. You have all the clothes. People ski in it. People run. People, cross country ski. The biking is no different. You're going very slow. So now, last year, I think there was 12 people in town that had studded fat tire bikes, and we would ride every Tuesday night, at least for an hour, and then go have a beer. So the Prairie Burn ride and race ended up evolving into a community bike ride. And that's a Tuesday and a Thursday night, and sometimes on the weekend bike ride. And in order to do that year round, we have gotten different bikes, or more bikes.
You are quite the bicycle enthusiast. So I'm going to divert a little bit away from Prairie Burn and ask you about some of your experiences, because you talk about riding a bicycle in the wintertime. Now, have you ever been on the Burr ride before?
Yeah.
Okay, and that, what, is to Perry and back? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's usually pretty cold.
That's usually pretty cold. So when we do a bike ride in town, a community bike ride, we'll have people from 13 years old to 75 years old. Through most of the months, it's fine. We ride an hour and a half to 2.5 hours long, varying the routes. With gravel, you can vary the routes depending on the prevailing winds, which change, or the weather. If it's really rainy, we stay off the dirt B roads, the muddy roads. But in the winter, everything stops. You stop for 2 or 3 months, and you might go to Holly's spin class down at the gym or at Postel's, or you might set up a trainer and have a hamster wheel and have that Swift set up, and that's all good. But I really I'm much more comfortable outside, and I ran. As a college student, I ran all through the winter, and I thought, if the running part's dangerous, the riding really isn't if you have studded tires.
Sure.
And so all of a sudden, it was the window, the world opened, and it was just having the right equipment.
You mentioned ragbri.
Yeah.
How many years have you gone on ragbri?
Oh, I'm up to probably 8 or 9 right now, 9 or 10. My partner's probably done 19 or 20.
Wow. And what do you like about riding on ragbri?
It's one of the ways that you can enjoy all of Iowa and ride and not worry about getting hit by a car. Riding these kind of bikes, the skinny tire bikes on the road, is something that I never liked because I felt like I had a target on my back. When you're on gravel, you almost never see any cars. You can see cars coming for very far away. Cars will slow down for you for the most part, and it just feels much safer. But ragbri, we have a group of friends that come down every year. They also like to ride gravel. They come down for Prairie Burn,
And we like the camping out. It's the only camping out we do all year, but it's a good time to see some friends that we don't get to see very often.
And speaking of which, you do on RagBri meet people from all walks of life. Can you tell me about some of the more interesting people you met while being on RagBri?
Well, just in our group, we've got a couple of professors. One of them teaches preschool teachers. We've got one's a CEO of a big company. We've got one that distills artisanal gin. One's a coffee roaster. We've got doctor. We've got a National Guard sergeant just getting ready to retire. We've got me. There's a couple of pensioners, retired people like me, and then we got the kids. The kids come, and it's a really nice blending of a group, and you try to curate that year to year.
Wow, that is fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic.
Super fun.
Yeah. Now, as far as Prairie Burn is concerned, you've grown it. You said that the 5K is almost, if not bigger now than the bike ride itself. Do you have any plans to make the Prairie Burn even bigger? Do you have some more goals in mind for this? Or are you just happy with the way things are?
So when I started it, I thought between 250 and 350 was a good size of event. I still think between 250 and 500 it's a good size of an event. We go to events that in Iowa, the biggest event might pull in 1,000 people, 1,200. I just was at an event in Kansas a couple weeks ago that had 5,500 riders. Wow. The biggest in the world. And some of these events, they have a lottery system. We don't want to get that big. It's 100% volunteer staff. It's an undertaking every year, but it's also fun. And the more we do it, the more we get better at it. So I don't look at growing it. I look at changing the quality of it. This year we changed up the routes a little bit.
Okay.
We brought in chip timing last year, and had a permanent trophy commissioned and made so that the winner of the 100-mile race could be emblazoned every year.
Great.
And I can show you that in the video.
Okay, fantastic. Now, as far as riding the bikes are concerned, do these people that you ride bikes with, do they go on other bike riding events other than Prairie Burn and RagBri? Do you go to other events also?
Interesting. Some do, some don't.
Okay.
We like to combine biking with our traveling. If we go to Florida, we usually drive and bring bikes. If we go to Colorado, we usually bring bikes. There's enough bike events to where you can go, and then the pros are there, the excitement's there, they have expos, so you see the newest gear, and again, you get to see some of the same people. They might be from Girona, Spain, or they might be from Liège, Belgium. You see the same people year after year. Hey, how's it going, Alex? And it's so cool. You go to some of these events, whether it's Kansas, or Colorado or New York, and you hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 different languages other than English in the lines. It's remarkable. Pros come over, they race it, and they go back, or some stay and just do the circuits.
That's amazing. Now we have people listening not only all over the state, but all over the nation and all over the world too. So maybe there's some people listening that haven't gotten into bicycling, but maybe are interested in doing that. Is it ever too late to get into bicycling? And
no.
And then I had a feeling you'd say that. So the next question is, how do you suggest someone get into bicycling?
The best thing is to have a relationship with a local bike shop. Most local bike shops are great at shepherding people of different levels and different body types, different sizes. We have, like I said, very young riders, and we have riders that have some physical disabilities because they're or some limitations because they're in their 70s. It's not too late to do anything if you've got a little bit of balance. These bikes are easier to ride than most of the street bikes. They're more like some of the balloon-tired bikes that you rode as a kid, maybe some of the big Huffies or something. We find that the gravel bikes tend to be very forgiving. They're all road bikes. They're actually the bikes that the bike factories should have been selling for the past 25 years rather than these 10-speed Tour de France bikes that are frankly kind of hard to ride.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they're a little stiff, they're uncomfortable unless you're going fast. They don't let you sit up very much, whereas we get a gravel bike, we get a good bike fit so that the people are comfortable, and then you can stay on that bike 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever you want.
You know, I can relate to that as a kid because, and you probably started riding your bike as a kid and never stopped, but I did, once I got my driver's license, the bike
most do.
Yeah.
Most kids do.
And that's what happened. But I used to ride my sister's bike, which didn't have the bar in the middle.
Right.
And I found that to be a pretty easy bike ride. And then I thought, I'm going to be a hot shot and get a 10-speed. Well, the 10-speed it was a Schwinn 10-speed. And it wasn't as easy to ride as my sister's bike was.
It's hard, rough.
It was harder and rougher to ride. Now, if you're on a hill, you could shift down and you could pedal faster and get up the hill easier, but it wasn't as easy to ride. So I know what you're talking about. If you're looking for a bike, you do have to have a good relationship with a bike shop and test drive, if you will, a bike that's just right for you.
So, and to that point is we quickly realized that there is a financial barrier to this community building project.
Yeah, because it is expensive.
It is. And an entry level bike, that one that will last, will be $900 to $1,200, and bikes can easily cost $10,000.
Right.
It's just like a car. You can start at the very bottom and go to lunatic fringe. So Imagine Grinnell, our Imagine Grinnell sponsors Prairie Burn. Imagine Grinnell has several programs, and it's a nonprofit that I work with that has several programs that just help the community. Another one is our bike share program. So we have a dozen gravel bikes or all-road bikes that people can rent, and the bike shop makes sure you get a good fit. You take it out for an hour or an afternoon, you bring it back, and then Imagine Grinnell pays that bike shop a little bit of money.
Oh, that's great.
And so we try to incentivize exercise and, that bike. We reserve those bikes for our Tuesday night and Thursday night gravel rides so that if somebody's just wanting to get their foot wet or they're traveling or they have a bike that's broken and they're waiting on parts, we have a bike available. Including in the winter, we've got some of the fat tire bikes for those winter rides if somebody wants to try.
Now, do you have sponsors for this, Tim?
Well, Imagine Grinnell is the sponsor for Prairie Burn. We have several sponsors. We've got Family Medicine with Ryan and Dalby Albright and Laura Ferguson. We've got Unity Point Hospital. We've got Manats, we've got Brownells, we've got Grinnell State Bank, which are our biggest sponsor.
And let me say, Grinnell State Bank is one of the sponsors for the podcast too. So,
great.
And pat on the back, by the way, to Austin Jones, who just competed in the Ironman competition last weekend.
I can't even imagine. That's amazing.
Isn't he crazy?
Amazing.
Austin's been doing this for a long time, and I'm so proud to know him and all he's accomplished in the Ironman competition. But yeah, he's one of my sponsors too. So
he usually rides each year.
Oh yeah. So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
But who else is a sponsor? On the back, Total Choice Shipping and Printing, very involved in the community. Latitude Signage, Randall Roofing. It's kind of hard to read the one at the bottom. It says Cox on the end of it. W Marketing. Let's see. Brent Eisenberger. Photography. You mentioned Brownells, Grinnell College. You mentioned Unity Point. So yeah, hey, thanks to all the sponsors for that. We do appreciate them.
Oh, and Berman and Sons. Richie gave us a check. So.
Well, that's great. That's great that they're supporting. Now for the 5K and for the bike ride and all that, is there a registration fee?
Yes, there's a registration fee. I think the 5K is only $10. The gravel ride is $60, which is very low for this type of event, unless you do a day of, and then I think it kicks up to $75.
All right.
So you can register for both of these the day of. Just get there early. And we also have, for any information, we've got the website on prairieburn.com or Imagine Grinnell. .com, you can find your way through there and get info if you need it.
All right, fantastic. Anything else you want to add about this, Tim?
It's an exciting event. We love to see people down. We have, Surf Zombies playing music. Solera's having some beverages there. We've got some nice food. It's a great event, and we couldn't do it without the Arns Foundation. They're just amazing to support this kind of event.
Yeah, let me say, I've heard so many good things about the Arns Foundation. I should probably do a podcast about the Arns Foundation somewhere along the line.
They're our parent company, and they provide the ability to have meetings, to have help, to have just an infrastructure. It absolutely wouldn't happen without them.
Yeah. And you talk about registration at the event. I'm assuming
Central Park.
Yeah, I was going to say probably Central Park.
Yeah,
right?
You'll see the tents down there. And
okay. And if you want to see Tim's bikes and also the ship that he was talking about for the Prairie Burn 5K, I'm assuming too, and the bike ride, watch the video. And we're going to be shooting the video here in just a couple moments. You can find that on the Out and About with Jamie Grout YouTube channel, and also on outandaboutwithjamiegrout.com. But this is going to wrap it up for my podcast with Tim Ellsworth of Prairie Burn on Out and About with Jamie Grout.
Until next time, Grout is out. See ya.